In the quiet basement of an art museum in San Francisco, Melissa Johnson stood alone, carefully looking through a new set of watercolors from the 1800s. The room was dim and silent, and that stillness felt like a soft blanket around her. It was the kind of peace she needed today. She had skipped a family gathering earlier, she just couldn't deal with it. Then her phone rang. It was her mother, Diane. Melissa sighed before picking it up. "Did you hear?" her mother said, her voice full of excitement. "Vanessa is going on a Mediterranean cruise with Brad. It's to celebrate his company's new business deal. Isn't that wonderful?" Melissa closed her eyes for a moment and moved the phone away from her ear. Of course, it was another call about Vanessa, her perfect older sister. Their mom loved to talk about how amazing Vanessa was. She had gone to a top business school, married a wealthy CEO, and was always the one the family talked about with pride. "That's nice," Melissa said softly, "but I'm busy setting up a new art exhibit right now. Can we talk later?" Her mother's voice changed. It became sharp, disappointed. "It's always the same with you. You spend so much time in that little museum. Do you really think you'll find a husband or a good future there?" Melissa didn't answer. She knew where this was going. Her mom had never understood her love for art or her job. Her father, Robert, had been a hard-working plumber who gave everything for the family. But Diane always wanted more money, more success, more status. For Melissa, though, a better life didn't mean being rich or famous. It meant doing work she loved and being true to herself. After ending the call, Melissa left the museum and walked toward her favorite cafe. The autumn wind was chilly, brushing against her cheeks as she walked, but it felt refreshing. At the cafe, she took her usual spot by the window and ordered a hot cup of coffee. It was a small routine, but it made her happy. It was hers. As she sat quietly, a waitress gave her a warm smile, and Melissa nodded back. Suddenly, a voice came from a nearby table. "Excuse me, is this seat taken? Every other table is full." She looked up and saw a man standing there. He had kind brown eyes and wore jeans and a navy blue sweater. He looked tired but had a gentle smile that made her feel at ease. "No, go ahead," Melissa said, returning his smile. "Thanks, I'm Jack Martin," he said, reaching out his hand. "I'm Melissa." He ordered coffee too, and soon they began talking. Jack told her he was a taxi driver. He liked the job because it let him see the city from every angle and meet new people every day. As he spoke, Melissa could tell there was something thoughtful and kind about him. "You work in a museum? That sounds amazing," Jack said with genuine interest, surrounded by art all the time. His words touched her. Not many people cared about her work or showed real interest, but Jack did. "What made you become a taxi driver?" Melissa asked. "I enjoy listening to people's stories," Jack said, his voice calm, "and I like being able to come and go freely. Each day is different." From that day, they began meeting more often. Melissa was drawn to Jack's quiet wisdom and open heart. He asked deep questions about the artwork she handled and even visited her museum. Eager to learn more, they laughed, talked, and slowly, they became a big part of each other's lives. When she finally told her family about Jack, the reaction was exactly what she expected. "A taxi driver?" her mother said, frowning. "You can do better, Melissa." Vanessa met Brad at an upscale restaurant, not some coffee shop. Melissa didn't argue. She had long ago stopped trying to explain her choices to her mother. One rainy evening, Melissa was having dinner at Jack's apartment. Rain gently tapped on the windows. The room was warm and cozy. Jack reached across the table and held her hand. "I'm so glad I met you," he said with a smile that made her heart melt. Melissa smiled too, but inside she was struggling. A few weeks earlier, her doctor had told her she might never be able to have children. It had been hard news, and she hadn't told anyone, not even Jack. She took a deep breath. "Jack, I need to tell you something," she said, her voice shaking. She explained everything, expecting him to pull away or look disappointed. But Jack held her hand tighter and said, "You're perfect just the way you are. I want to be with you, no matter what, kids or no kids." Tears filled her eyes. No one had ever made her feel so accepted. Later, when Melissa told her mother about her infertility, Diane responded coldly. "Well, that's even more reason to find someone wealthy. A man with money can give you other options. You could adopt." But Melissa had made up her mind. She wanted to marry Jack. She loved him for who he was, not what he did for a living. Once in a while, Jack would get mysterious phone calls. He also gave Melissa gifts that seemed a little too fancy for someone with his job. When she asked him about it, he simply smiled and said, "I have some connections." She trusted him, so she didn't push for more. As their wedding day got closer, Melissa's sister Vanessa came to visit. "Are you seriously going through with this?" Vanessa asked, raising an eyebrow. "Marrying a taxi driver? Brad knows tons of successful men. We could introduce you to someone better." But Melissa didn't back down. She said quietly, "I love Jack, not because of his job, but because of who he is." The wedding date was set, invitations went out, a few of Jack's close friends replied they'd come, and Melissa's family said they'd attend, though it was clear they weren't excited. Vanessa gave one last warning, "Don't say I didn't warn you." Melissa just smiled, "I won't, I don't regret anything." The night before the wedding, she saw Jack in his apartment, speaking on the phone with a serious look. "Is everything ready for tomorrow?" "Yes, the very best." Melissa watched him and wondered what he was talking about, but she smiled, thinking it must be something sweet he had planned for their big day. And in that moment, she felt certain, this was the life she wanted, simple, honest, filled with love. The wedding hall had been full of laughter and conversation, but now it was silent. Everyone was watching Jack, waiting to hear what he had to say. He held the microphone and looked at Melissa. "Thank you for seeing me for who I am, not for my money or what I've achieved. That's what truly matters to me." He gently set the microphone down and walked back to Melissa. She stood up and wrapped her arms around him tightly. The room erupted in warm applause. Robert stood up, lifting his glass of champagne high, to the bride and groom. Everyone followed, even Diane and Vanessa, though they looked a little awkward. Glasses clinked, music started again, and the dancing resumed, but something had shifted, especially at Melissa's family table. The mood had changed. Brad walked over to Jack with a hopeful smile and held out a business card. "Maybe we can talk sometime?" he asked. Jack took the card politely but smiled and said kindly, "Let's enjoy today, business can wait." Later, Melissa stepped outside onto the terrace and found her mother standing alone, staring into the distance. The cold breeze moved gently through her hair. Diane's eyes were red, and her makeup was a little smudged, like she had been crying. "Mom," Melissa said softly. Diane turned, surprised, her lips trembled. "Melissa, she began, then paused. "I was wrong, about Jack, about you, about everything." Melissa stood quietly, waiting. "I've always tried to appear better than I am," Diane admitted. "I was ashamed of your father's simple job. I wanted more, but today, I saw what I've been missing all these years." Tears welled up in her eyes. Melissa gently reached for her mother's hand. "It's not too late." Diane squeezed her hand. "Can you ever forgive me?" "With time," Melissa said softly. "Today is a fresh start." They stood side by side, watching the sky as the sun slowly disappeared behind the city buildings. The next morning, Melissa stood on the balcony of a hotel suite in downtown San Francisco. The city was waking up beneath a light fog. From where she stood, she could see part of the Golden Gate Bridge. Everything from the day before felt almost like a dream. Back inside, Jack was pouring coffee. He handed her a cup with a smile. "Your phone's been going off all morning," he said, nodding toward it. Melissa picked it up and frowned. 15 missed calls, 8 from Mom, 7 from Vanessa, and over 20 texts. "That might be a record," Jack joked. Melissa chuckled but sighed. "Should I call them back?" "I'll support whatever you choose," Jack said gently, "but at some point, you'll probably want to talk to them." Melissa looked into his eyes. "Why didn't you tell me how successful you were before?" Jack was quiet for a moment. "Because I wanted you to see me, not my money, not my status, just me." Melissa nodded slowly. She understood. She had spent her life fighting against people's expectations too. "Okay," she said at last, "let's call Mom." Diane picked up after one ring. "Melissa, thank God, I've been trying to reach you." "Good morning, Mom," Melissa said calmly. "I'm so sorry." Diane's voice was soft, almost tearful. "Jack is a wonderful man. You were right." Melissa closed her eyes, thinking, "Are you saying that now because you know he's wealthy?" There was silence. "I won't lie," Diane said finally. "I was surprised, but seeing you so happy, that's what really matters." Melissa didn't answer right away. "You didn't support us before, Mom." "I know," Diane said quietly, And I'm truly sorry. There was a pause. Then Diane added, come over for dinner tonight. Vanessa and Brad will be there. I want to welcome you both properly. Melissa looked at Jack, who gave a nod. Okay, we'll come. That evening, Melissa and Jack walked into Diane's house. Everything was spotless, shining floors, fresh flowers in elegant vases, a beautifully set table. It was more effort than Melissa had ever seen her mother put in before. Welcome, Jack, Diane said with a big smile. Welcome to our home. Melissa couldn't help but feel it was a little too much. At dinner, everyone was overly polite. Vanessa was smiling and calling Melissa sis, which she rarely did. Brad kept steering the conversation toward business. Where are you planning to live? Diane asked. I know someone's selling a place in Pacific Heights. Thanks, Jack said kindly, but we've already found something we love. In fact, they had bought a cozy home near Melissa's old apartment. It had a backyard and an extra room they hoped to turn into a nursery one day. As dessert was served and the wine flowed, things became more honest. Our company's been struggling, Vanessa finally admitted, her voice softer than usual. The market's been rough, Brad added. If Jack could give us some advice, or even invest, it would really help. Then Diane spoke up. We're a little concerned about retirement too. Robert's been working hard, but things are tight. Melissa was stunned. Her mother had never asked for help before. We're family, Vanessa said quickly. It's normal to help each other. Melissa and Jack exchanged a look. Without words, they both understood. We'll think about it, Jack said gently. Diane and Vanessa looked relieved. In the car afterward, Melissa and Jack burst out laughing. They changed overnight, Melissa said, shaking her head. I saw it coming, Jack replied. Money has that effect. I don't think they've truly changed, Melissa said thoughtfully. No, Jack agreed, but they could, if they want to. Will you really help them? Yes, Jack said after a pause, but not just with money. I want to help them grow. Melissa smiled. She liked that idea. A year later, snow was falling outside Melissa and Jack's warm, cozy home. It was a simple house, full of love and quiet joy. Melissa sat by the fireplace, sketching, while Jack worked on his laptop. You ready for your lecture? She asked. Jack smiled. Almost. I'm thinking about what wisdom to share with the students. He had started teaching entrepreneurship once a week at a local college and loved it. Melissa sipped her coffee. Vanessa said their company is finally doing better. Your investment helped. Jack had made the investment on one condition: the company had to support social causes and share profits with the community. And your mom? He asked. She's still volunteering at the women's shelter. At first, it was because of the trust agreement, but now, I think she actually cares. Jack nodded with satisfaction. On the table nearby sat a pile of adoption papers. Our first interview is soon, Melissa said nervously. Jack took her hand. We'll be great parents. The phone rang. It was Diane. Have you decided about Christmas? She asked. We'd love to have you over. We'll talk about it, Melissa replied. There was a pause. Melissa, Diane said softly, I want to hold a grandchild someday. Melissa smiled. Actually, we're adopting. There was silence, then a joyful gasp. That's wonderful, Diane said through happy tears. You'll be amazing parents. After hanging up, Melissa leaned against Jack. She's really changing. Yes, Jack whispered, people can grow, if they have the right reason. Outside, the snow kept falling quietly, covering the world in white. It was the start of a new season, of family, love, and learning what really matters.